Hi, welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we've been studying from this lesson right here, God's Mission, My Mission. Today we're starting a brand new lesson, lesson number 3, which has the title, God's Call to Mission, and today is Sabbath's lesson. We're going to talk about what we're going to be learning this whole week. So, as you've already seen, our title is God's Call to Mission, and the memory verse comes from Acts chapter 1, verse 8 that says, "But you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be witnesses to me in Jerusalem, and in all Judea and Samaria, and to the end of the earth." When people are called to serve others, it's always in the context of movement. We see that over and over again in the Bible. You'll see that when Abraham is called, he leaves his land, he leaves his family, and he goes into a land in which God would take him. Jacob was a wanderer. He described himself as a pilgrim. The children of Israel were in constant movement for decades. In the beginning of their life as a nation, they wandered around, nomadically intense. It was later when they truly established themselves or were established by God in Canaan that they became a little bit more fixed. But later on, you'll see that in their exile, they had to move to a distant place. And so you'll see that constantly in the context of the Old Testament, God's children, they were called to move out. They were called to go into different places, go live among other lands, other nations. And a big part of that has to do with being an influence on those people in those lands. God's call is one of mission, and God's call is one of movement. When the New Testament comes along, we see the same exact thing. In the Gospels, we find Jesus Christ, who was himself an itinerant preacher, an itinerant rabbi. He would go from place to place, ministering to the people that he would find, that he would meet, and then he would move on, minister to those people, move on, minister to those people. And so Christ himself, when he lived here, he was an itinerant missionary. He was always on the go. In the book of Acts, you find the same exact thing. The apostles here in Acts chapter 1, verse 8, they're going from place to place. We find, just as the text says, they're called to go and minister, starting in Jerusalem, then into Judea and Samaria, and then to the ends of the earth. Friends, living for God is a life of movement. It doesn't really matter how far or where you're going, but it matters that you're moving. You're not static. You're not stopped, stuck in one place. You are going out of your comfort zone, which is where God is at. He's not in the comfort zone. He's outside of it, and he leads you there. If there's one thing that I hope that we get out of this week's lesson is the fact that we cannot serve God and just stay still. It's impossible to serve the Lord and not act on it. Now, please understand that this is different for different people. Some people will go to far off lands, while other people will minister to their neighborhood. To some, it's easier to go out and about. To others, it's not that easy. There might be some limitations. There might be a difficulty in actually going somewhere. But do understand that God has a ministry for everyone, and that ministry involves movement. It involves going, being sent forth. You know that the biblical word for sending is the word ekbalo. And ekbalo, it's stronger than sending. It's stronger than just being sent. It's a very strong word. It almost means to be kicked out, to be sent out. It's as though God is kicking us out, shoving us out, pushing us to go out into the world so that we can then be instruments for him. So don't forget to study your lesson this week. There are so many beautiful and valuable lessons to be applied in our everyday life in order to be missionaries that come from verses that are mentioned here, that come from quotes that are mentioned here. So I'm sure that you'll grow a lot as you study it. Please comment down below if you have any questions, if you have any comments. I'd love to interact with you. Also, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our videos. We release one every day, and I hope to see you in here tomorrow for another Sabbath School Daily.